this afternoon. And if he throws strikes, which he wants to do, he should be able to lean on a defense that can get it done in back of him.
That's been the key for Liriano so far this season. He will start against Martin Perez, another lefty for the Rangers. And the Rangers have won 7 straight home series. The Pirates have won 3 series in a row. Can they keep their winning ways going? We'll find out next here on Root Sports.
Pirates Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Allegheny Health Network, Health for All. By Bordas & Bordas, official legal partners of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Visit BordasLaw.com. And by Day Automotive, we're gonna make your day. Let's go Bucks!
Baseball on the eve of Memorial Day weekend here in Texas. Series finale coming up here with the Pirates and the Rangers and some Marines.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Much gratitude for their service. And tomorrow, a day of solemn remembrance for those who've paid the ultimate sacrifice. And thank you for all those who have served. And appreciate those who are joining us here this afternoon for some baseball here. A chance for the Pirates to win their 4th consecutive series against another tough club in the Rangers. And let's take a look at the RAV4 lineup for the Buccos, and with the left-hander Perez on there today. So Jordy Mercer back at the top spot with Andrew McCutcheon batting second. 3 hits and a home run in the series. David Freese at first base. Jung Ho Kang back over at third. Then Starling Marte. Cervelli's the DH. Sean Rodriguez at second. Josh Harrison still a little under the weather. Matt Joyce gets a start. And then Chris Stewart batting ninth.
And they'll be working against a very highly regarded left-hander Martin Perez. His numbers maybe not indicating how good he has been recently. 2.4, 3.13 ERA. This young man went under Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago, but got back last year and throws a lot of ground balls. Very effective, leads the major league in throwing ground ball double plays. Signed a long time ago as a 16-year-old with the Texas Rangers. Very highly regarded. So the Pirates are going to have to get him to elevate a little bit.
And the defense brought to you by Honda for the Rangers. Adrian Beltre, 4-time Gold Glover, still getting it done at 37 years old. And they'll shake up the lineup a little bit with Alberto at short. Ryan Rua starts against lefties in left field. Ryan Holiday, his first start behind the plate in the series for Texas. And Jordy Mercer, so good against lefties, gets the start. And what are our Rivers Casino tips to win for today, Steve?
Yeah, he loves to throw the ball downstairs, so you got to get him up in the strike zone a little bit. Control for Liriano coming off that weird start last time where he was very, very good for 5+ innings and then could not find home plate. So we'll get Liriano to get into the strike zone, and we'll get this left-hander for the Rangers to get the ball upstairs. By the way, this is a 3-year-ago matchup between Liriano and Perez, and last time, 3 years ago, it was Liriano on top.
And if that repeats itself today, Pirates start this road trip off right with a series victory. Jordy Mercer, those good numbers, 280 overall. Lining one fair and into the left field corner. Extra bases for Mercer. And he torches lefties, and again right there a leadoff double.
That's the way to start off your Sunday afternoon. Well, when they pitch you inside, sometimes you can turn on it and get those hands out in front and kind of force the ball to stay fair rather than hooking it foul, and that's exactly what he did. Pitch like that inside, you almost have to get your elbows out, actually keep the hands back and push the ball rather than lead with the hands and hook it.
Here's Andrew McCutchen. And strike one to Andrew, who has homered in this series. Traditionally very good against left-handed pitching. Third best in baseball over the last 5 seasons against lefties. Hitting at .340 overall against left-handed pitching. And he cracks one into center. Desmond a long run. He can't get it. And that ball is still in play. It'll be a double for McCutchen. Mercer is in, and 2 batters in. The Pirates on top, 1-0.
Hello. Pirates, maybe it's just a bump in the road last night against Hugh Darvish, who made his comeback and really did a good job against the Pirates, but they're picking up where they left off Friday night. And this ball had a lot of carry. Breaking ball right there in the sweet spot. And sweet contact from Andrew.
Yeah, Darvish yesterday didn't give up a run until the 5th. Pirates didn't get their second run until the 9th. 2 batters in, they've got one. Darvish was really good last night, though.
Yeah, you wonder if the guy misses that much time, if he's going to come back and be a little rusty or uncertain. Like he didn't miss a beat.
David Freese.
So what I was thinking, you know, he's only going to go 5 innings. You know, get into a bullpen that really has been struggling. It just didn't happen for the Pirates last night. But you knew he wasn't going to go very far. We were still within range, just couldn't turn those bats loose again.
Freese makes it a ball and a strike. Now this Pirate offensive facing the lefty Cole Hamels in the opener of this series, and between Hamels not even reaching 5 innings, and then the bullpen scored 9 times. So this offense plenty capable.
And one of the soft spots for Perez is his control. He's worked 16 innings, but he's walked 30. Not only want to force him to elevate, but don't chase borderline stuff that is going to get you out in front in the count.
Yeah, both he and Liriano have walked 30, tied for the 2nd most in baseball. And he's got McCutchen off second base. And base running miscue costs the Pirates.
Well, that's textbook stuff from Perez, by the way, even though it's against our Pirates. He just ran at Andrew and eventually forced Andrew to make a commitment. He didn't throw quickly and let the rundown evolve and allow Freese to advance. He just kept running at him. He did the right thing, faked him a couple times. So that's the way you handle it from a pitcher standpoint. That's the way you're supposed to handle it from a pitcher standpoint.
So the Rangers get their first out, and the Pirates trade a runner in scoring position for Freese at first on the fielder's choice for Gung, who has homered in this series. Gung in his 17 games, 17 runs batted in.
I like that ratio.
Already 6 home runs. Now a ball and a strike.
There we are downstairs, and if he gets you to chase that pitch, he's going to have a decent afternoon. You got to take it and force him to bring the ball up.
And he strikes him out.
And that was a good breaking ball. You really can't take that, or you're going to get called out on strike. So good work from Perez. Yep. You're going to get called out on that one, so tip your cap. That was a very much above average curveball.
A lot of off-speed stuff. We see DeGung all the time, but finishing him off there with changeup and then that curve.
25-year-old Martin Perez from Venezuela, 6 foot 200 pounds. Non-drafted at age 16 in 2007, so he's only 25, but he's been pitching quite a while professionally. Go back 3 years to when he hooked up Valeriano and lost. He was a 10-game winner with a good ERA for the Rangers, kind of evolving before the Tommy John surgery.
And now ahead of Marte, 2 strikes. Umpiring crew today, that's Clint Fagan calling the balls and strikes. Greg Gibson at first, at Hickox at second base, Dana DeMuth, the crew chief, manning third base.
Never thought I'd see umpires wearing golf shirts. Just never thought I'd see that. That's the way it is, and probably very comfortable working on a Sunday afternoon.
Especially here. 85 at game time. It is very sultry.
But 85 here is not too bad. I've seen it 106.
Oh, sure. It is very humid. A lot of Pirates fans living here or making their way here to visit.
Everywhere you go.
I'm finding that out.
See the Bucko gear.
Now 2-2. 94 from Perez. Trying to see a series victory. Marte with the sunglasses on this sunny Sunday. A little haze. Staying alive there.
Another good looking curveball. Deep in the heart of Texas, we root for the Buccos.
His H fell off.
Staying alive against a good delivery. So Perez, he has enough of a fastball to keep you honest. If he keeps throwing that curveball like that, he'll have a decent kind of a 1-2 sequence to work with.
So humid the glue came dislodged.
That's all right. It's about the effort.
Yes.
Intention.
He gets an H for effort.
Yeah. That's right. Very good. So you got umpires wearing golf shirts and you got batters wearing sunglasses. Well, that's been part of the deal for the last 25 years. So
yeah, some like it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Kind of a tough sun today with hazy cloud cover.
Yeah, it is hazy.
Through the middle. An easy play for Profar. And so far, Pirates with a first inning run, and Texas coming to bat here in the first. As we head to the bottom of the first here from Arlington. Now let's take a look at the Rangers lineup for today. Jurickson, Profar atop the order with Desmond and Fielder, and then Beltre surpassing 1,500 career RBIs last night. He's done well in his career against Liriano and in this series. Mazara, the rookie, then Rua. Moreland slides down to the 7th spot, Brian Holiday, and then Alberto.
Francisco Liriano making start number 10. His number is brought to you by Hyundai. He has done good work against the Rangers career-wise. 7 starts, 5-1 career record. Read a note about Liriano in the Pirate notes, and it's always good to see this. Last 26 starts from Liriano for Pittsburgh, 22-4. It's been that good as a Bucco.
Profar in his first action in the big leagues this season, and first time since 2013. And the Rangers with a good number of prospects, young players that they can call upon in the minor leagues.
And just for clarification, Liriano's last 26, not that's not a total number. So 22-4 in his last 26 starts.
That's pretty good.
Really good.
A little flare into center, and McCutchen playing deep. Can't get to it. Base hit.
Didn't get too much of it. Didn't get too little of it. So we couldn't get our center fielder in far enough and the shortstop out. It's just one of those little flares that finds the grass.
Now, the Pirates have been traditionally playing their outfield shallower this season. But McCutchen was saying in the newspaper over the weekend that he sometimes, for certain batters, he wants to play a little bit deeper, feels more comfortable playing deeper. And they said that, paraphrasing, the club obviously trusts him, and of course with all the experience he has out there, naturally he's got a feel for some hitters. That That's how they play here for Desmond, who has been really hot at the plate. It's safely in 6 in a row. We've seen him show the bunt a lot. I think about 4 or 5 at bats he's at least shown the bunt. A guy with good power and some speed.
Well, Francisco had him leaning a little bit. That's always good. Left-hander can do that.
Profar with 4 steals in AAA in his time with Round Rock. Now Liriano ahead 1-2. That one at 90.
Whenever I hear something in reference to the minor league team at Round Rock, I think of the Mel Brooks movie, Blazing Saddles. Rock Ridge. Rock Ridge.
Here's the 1-2. Now even on Desmond. Chris Stewart doing the catching today, and he's thrown out a quarter of the attempted base stealers. League average around 28% every year. Of course, the pitcher has as much to do with holding on runners as the catcher.
Maybe 75%.
Oh, yeah. Hit very well to left. Marte with room. It's shy of the track.
It's a big left center, and there's plenty of room to get over there, plenty of height.
Yeah, 390 out there to left center field. And much. There it is. So that one hit about that distance. Much more inviting in right center as the ball comes in there to accommodate the Rangers bullpen. You see that yellow sign out there. And the first bellwether of the season is tomorrow, Memorial Day. And a lot of times when you look at guys' statistics, start to really take note. Prince Fielder at 196 with 2 home runs.
But still drives in some runs, 25 RBIs. Always dangerous. He's been around so long, he's had that presence. Well, I think he's only 31 years old, but it seems like he's been here forever. Good year last year.
Yeah, already been in the big leagues for a decade. Yeah, he's gone the longest without a home run in his career. 12 seasons and 1,000 career runs batted in.
Some big numbers, especially that middle one.
Passed Daddy in career RBIs last night.
You know, when
Cecil Fielder.
When you think of 313 home runs, 10 years, you're averaging 30 home runs a year. That's pretty consistent production.
Now Hurd in 2014, last year, a resurgent campaign, and maybe he's still got that in him. He has had a couple of extra base hits in the series.
Well, he's a strikeout kind of guy, and Liriano's a strikeout kind of pitcher.
Trying to get guys to chase Fielder has done a good bit of that.
Yeah, he'll chase that that low Liriano slider. That's the direction they choose to go in. Yeah, like that.
Right on, Steve.
That you know that Liriano's thinking, trying to get him in that position where he can get him to chase. And see, that's close enough where, again, that's a tough pitch to take. and it's a pitch you can't do anything with. So it puts you in a bad spot.
And Liriano so murderous against lefties. Slugging only .233 against him coming in. That's slugging percentage, not batting average. Righties has been another story. It's almost double that. And that slider of his sometimes seems like he can't put it in the same, or the fastball in the same spots as a slider to righties. Almost clipped Beltre, who has homered in each game of this series.
Close to the gun. Kind of an overreaction hitters will do when they think they're in danger.
Protect thyself.
A decent lead at first base off a left-hand pitcher.
Profar's been dancing around over there, but his first step is back toward the bag as the pitch comes in.
All right.
Whoa.
How about that? Who do they know to get those tickets?
Yeah, a lot of Pirate fans close to the action. Should get Liriano out of the inning. Leadoff single, no more than that, and the Pirates take the lead into the second. On an all-new Inside Pirates Baseball, we check in with some of the Pirates' top prospects who are shining in Indy. Plus, after a gruesome knee injury, Jung Ho Kang battling his way back. That and more on Inside Pirates Baseball, presented by Allegheny Health Network tonight after postgame, right here on Root Sports. Pirates with a first-inning run on top on our UPMC scoreboard.
There's the man right there. There's the man.
Native of Alvin, Texas, Nolan Ryan.
And Ryan Express.
Cervelli on the first pitch. Records the first out. And there he is in bronze form.
As he should be. If you're going to put statues up for people, don't leave that one out.
All-time strikeout leader.
You know, in spring training, when the Rangers trained at Port Charlotte for a time, and when we found out he was going to be throwing on the side, we'd go down early and watch him throw.
Wow.
It was a treat. It's always a treat to watch him throwing on the side. I had a chance to see him throwing toward me. That was not a treat.
So did you face him when he was with the Mets?
I did, when he came up in 1969, and I told Jerry Grody, when I went up to the plate, I said, look at him. He's 22. He's throwing 200 miles an hour. And he doesn't know what he's doing, where it's going. So if he hits me, I'm going to hit you. And Jerry went out and talked to him. It only took 3 pitches to get rid of me.
I get the out with some confusion. Profar, the second baseman, retires the Pirates second baseman for the second out.
Looks like a family reunion coming over there Sunday afternoon for a picnic. There is a slight breeze, not as dramatic as it was Friday night. But there's the gathering. And finally, Profar was the second baseman, wasn't it? Made the catch.
Always great images from their Allegheny Health Network Supermo. 2 away from Matt Joyce. I think people forget Nolan Ryan en route to the Hall of Fame. There were a lot of bumps in the road when he was with New York.
Well, he came up as a youngster throwing hard. I don't know how much pitching he had perfected. I don't know how much pitching he ever perfected. But it got to home plate in a hurry. Got everybody's attention.
Could he throw that curveball when he first came up?
I don't remember much other than trying to face him a couple times.
A lot of number ones, huh?
Yeah, a lot of. Well, he didn't have to waste any curveball against me. I never saw one. I heard a couple fastballs. The umpire said strike 3. I said it's good enough for you. It's good enough for me. I told you after 3 pitches, I'm out of here. I don't want any problems.
Nolan Ryan sent to the Angels and then became a free agent. Long time with the Houston Astros and then finished up with these Rangers.
You know, I've always had trouble with the phrase free agent. When you get those agents, it costs you. They're never free. These guys cost a lot of money.
Yeah, that is a misnomer.
Even Jesse James wasn't a free agent.
Yeah. Nolan Ryan pitched till he was 46. And Matt Joyce draws a 2-out walk. And really effective. Really through his age 44 season. Still struck out 200 men in 91. Had an ERA under 3. At 44 years old, he was still throwing in the upper 90s.
Incredible. And you know, if you hit a home run off him, it wasn't a problem if he just run around the bases. If you took your time, it was really a problem for the guy in the on-deck circle. It was going to be a real problem for him. Somebody was going to pay for what he perceived to be showing him up. And it didn't take much to get him going after he gave up a home run.
Well, it's interesting, you know.
What an arm. What an arm for those 20-some years. I mean, no trick pitches. Fastball, curveball.
That's it.
That was enough.
Let's come after guys. We see it every now and then. That start Garrett Cole had in Colorado, where he was just basically using his fastball almost the whole afternoon. And Ryan kind of pitched like that, didn't he? I mean,
he did. Yeah, there was no subtlety in the way he threw the ball. I'm going to throw it as hard as I can, and I can really throw it hard, and then see what you can do with it.
And didn't have great command, even later on. I mean, it was better, but.
And that was a weapon. You don't want to get too comfortable when somebody's throwing it like that. I'm convinced if the guns are showing these guys throwing 98, he was throwing 120.
Yeah, I read an interesting article, Steve, about try to figure out who the hardest throwers were of all time. And they've had Bob Feller in there. They had Steve Dalkowski.
Oh, yep. He was legendary, Dalkowski.
I would never even pitched in the major leagues, but right. And some guys from before radar guns were popularized, and Ryan, if I recall correctly, was #1 on that list. A little double clutch, but still enough time to force Joyce. And the Pirates strand the 2-out walk, but lead 1-0.
Park in Arlington. I'm Robbie Mikowski. Well, it was a special 2015 for Rangers manager Jeff Bannister winning the American League's Manager of the Year award. But it was a memory of a lifetime for the guy who presented the award to him, and that is Pirates manager Clint Hurdle, who flew down here to Texas to present him with the award. And Clint said the night he gave the award to Benny was one of the best nights he's had in the game of baseball. And get this, he's been in baseball for 41 years. He said to be a small part of a presentation to a man that he loves and spent so much quality time with on and off the field meant everything to him. And to do it in his hometown, in front of his team and his fans, was really humbling and really, really cool. And I sat down in Pirates pregame with both these guys, and Clint Hurdle discussed the reason why it was one of his most special days in his career in baseball, Joe and Steve. And in Pirates postgame, we'll run the highlights of the interview from those two guys. You'll get to hear Clint elaborate as to why it was one of the most special ever.
That's great stuff, Rob. Really neat moment for both those people.
This one may stay in play and freeze. Look at Mazara.
Not frozen in his tracks. He stayed with it. The ball must be fumbling around up in the air. There's a pretty good breeze now blowing from left to right. David locks in, as it were, unlocks, and locks back in.
Yeah, that breeze very, very strong at times in this large ballpark. There's Jeff Bannister.
Yeah, when one of your coaches becomes a major league manager, I mean, that's a neat thing for the guy that gets the job, but also a really neat time for the fellow he worked with and worked under and learned from.
29 years in the organization.
That's paying your dues and then some. Congratulations, Benny. And you also wear a nice number.
Yeah.
I told him when he took it, when he was a player, I said, I left a lot of hits in there. He only used one, but used it well.
Perfect 1,000 for his career.
Yep.
Jeff Bannister. And the American League Manager of the Year last year. These Rangers winning the division in his first year at the helm.
There's your resume.
And a lot more seasons with the Pirates than just those years as the bench coach, but where he kind of finished off his instruction, so to speak. Ruar. Line strikes. Second K for Liriano. I do have to point out, Steve, we were talking last inning about Nolan Ryan. You faced him 6 times, seven times actually, with a sacrifice. You went 2 for 6 against him, 2 singles, and had a run batted in.
That's all. I mean,
you got 2 hits off Nolan Ryan.
Well, I had to shorten up a little bit because he was heading the count. You know, I was going for, you know, the long ball, but I did not know that. I'm calling my grandson as soon as we get through here this afternoon.
And might I add, you did square off against him 3 times in your career, and you were 2-1 against Ryan.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take that. A lot of guys would take that.
A couple of complete game wins.
I might have to go find him between innings. Mention that stuff to him. Actually, I did have a chance to interview him once. I had a series that I was doing, the best, baseball's best, and I did some pitchers and I did some hitters.
He's a good one to have on that list.
I was down the left field bullpen. I won't forget it, sitting down with Nolan Ryan. And we had a neat thing because Richard Sutphin, who did a lot of video work for us and also was on our TV crew for a while, said, just talk to him and we'll edit it. We'll put B-roll. I said, what's B-roll? He said, just talk to him as long as you want to. And he did a great job, and I'll remember that afternoon.
Liriano with another strikeout, and the Pirates take a 1-0 lead into the 3rd. On Saturday when they take on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim at 4:05, and you can head out to the North Shore. If you're one of the first 20,000 fans through the gates, you receive this Pirates fedora presented by Coca-Cola. Go to pirates.com, get your tickets, come on out and see the Pirates when they return home.
You know, I want to go back to that list you're talking about, the hardest throwers.
Yeah.
Don't leave Jim Maloney out of that conversation. The hard-throwing right-hander for the Cincinnati Reds most of the decade of the 60s. I mean, he's a guy that should be on that list. They're talking about bringing it. He's one of those bringing it guys. And Dalkowski's another person from Connecticut. In fact, he was,
is that right?
He was so highly regarded, but so wild in such an environment that he lived in. Rumor was they moved his entire family to get him out of that environment. And he threw so hard, but they would not let him throw batting practice in the Baltimore Major League camp for fear of injuring somebody. But they said he might have been the fastest of all time, Steve Dalkowski.
Mercer with a double his first time scoring the game's low run. And as the leadoff man, 359 this year.
That? He's really gotten off to a really solid start. His play at shortstop continues to be good, and those offensive numbers really kind of capture the package of Jordy Mercer.
Very good against left-handed pitching, has been throughout his career. And so when the Pirates were kind of reconfiguring their lineup in the offseason, he seemed like a logical choice. You know, ignoring the fact that traditionally you got to have a guy that steals a bunch of bases. There aren't a lot of guys that steal a bunch of bases anymore. So why not have a guy that gets on base?
That's a good point. Good point.
Polanco sitting against the lefty.
He hasn't had too many days off, whether he's playing or not. He's been really terrific.
That's a great line. That's true. Not sitting always against lefties. And I was talking with Clint Hurdle before the game on his radio show today about, you know, the Pirates have 4 out of 5 lefties coming up. Marlins here with Perez, and you know, some of these lefties are going to get a chance to start. He's not going to just sit John Jaso or Polanco or Joyce for an extended period of time. Those guys are going to get in there periodically against lefties. And look, Polanco's done great, and Joyce has done decently in a very small sample size against lefties.
Well, you know the thing, we were talking about this on Friday night. It's almost like the Pirates don't have a bench. They have an interchangeable group of 13 that play, and just throw them in there, because so far you haven't lost much with whoever you put in. Another ground ball from Perez.
Yeah, the Pirates overall against lefties have been very, very good. And not because they all have all right-handed batters in their lineup, but predominantly right-handed. 4th best in baseball in terms of batting average. And the Pirates are one of the best offensive teams overall. They're 4th best in runs scored too, so that just jives with what they've been doing overall.
Of course, Texas on that chart. They're number 2 against lefties. They're facing a lefty too. So we've got a lot of stuff going on.
Andrew McCutchen with a run-scoring double back in the first.
I wonder if veteran Yankee fans will remember a guy who threw real hard. Ryan Duran, relief pitcher with Coke bottle glasses. The first pitch when he came in, he would throw against the screen, and he did that every time. Great stuff.
Was that to scare the future hitters?
I'm sure, and he was wild too. So it was just like a little preview. We're going to give you the pregame tease, or the pre-at-bat tease. And here's what I'm capable of doing, boys. Step in there.
2-strike pitch. So far, Perez, who has had his command issues with the 30 walks, has issued 1.
Interesting. Both starters coming into this game with 30 free passes.
Only Yordano Ventura of the Royals entering play today with more. 1-2 to McCutchen.
I know you like to play on words, so Ventura having trouble finding the proper boulevard toward the strike zone.
Yeah, he's been good in the postseason. A little bit of command issues for the young Royals early. Last one at 95. Beltre is about as automatic as it gets.
I guess I can't say Boulevard. Ventura Highway.
Sure.
Ventura Highway. They're reaching.
I think there's both.
Probably. And while they're conferring out there, just want to point out, we got word from a guy back home, buddy back home, that one of our fantasy campers is sitting down back of home plate, and my buddy back home wanted to emphasize he's going to be rooting for the Pirates. Dwayne Schifano, veteran, I think vested in the fantasy camp pension.
Oh, good.
Been there a bunch of times. And this is what he's looking at. Yeah, this is that's called a big league view. He's down in back of home plate.
Working camera for us today.
Doesn't get much better for Dwayne.
Driven to the gap.
Way back to the gap.
And this one is out of here.
And Freese continues to torture Ranger fans. He did it all night Friday night. And here he goes deep to the opposite field.
Well, long since been a hated enemy here. They booed him when he was introduced for the first time on Friday night for his antics in the 2011 World Series, hitting that two-run triple off Neftali Feliz in Game 6 of the World Series. Here going the opposite way.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to get your hands way in. Not only push it, usually you push that kind of thing, you get a single if you do it correctly. Got some distance. You see the hands stay inside and then somehow powers it far enough.
So 2-0 Pirates. Fourth home run for Freese.
Little two-out action. Always welcome, most welcome.
And just as I say that Beltre is automatic, tenders a throw in the dirt over to first.
You're going to have to charge him an error on that, I would think. He had to come in toward the base itself, so he had to come in a ways, kind of take it in between hops, and then some awkward footwork there as he released the ball.
There will be an error on Beltre, just his second this year.
See if the Pirates can have it open the door like it did with the Hamels Friday night. That error and bingo. Pirates just took off with it.
And it shows it right there on our Allegheny Health Network Supermo. Starling Marte reached down the fielders twice back in the first. He's homered in this series. 1 for 4 last night after a 3 for 4 opener. Just a gorgeous afternoon.
And whatever angle you're looking at in toward the infield from back at home plate. Sunday afternoons just seems perfect for a baseball game. Pretty Sunday afternoon.
Especially when the Pirates have the lead 2-0 here. David Freese homering.
He's liking this afternoon.
Get the force there. So the error doesn't matter, but the Pirates on the David Freese home run double their lead, up 2-0. move to the bottom of the third, and here's our day automotive this day in Pirates history. Back in 1992, the Pirates beating the Giants 13-3 at Three Rivers, and Marlins hitting coach Barry Bonds had 2 hits, 2 runs, and 2 RBIs. Chico Lean drove in 3, and Bob Patterson pitching the final 3 innings to get the save.
13-3. 3-inning save. Thought we were going to see one Friday night, maybe with Wilfredo, but didn't happen.
Thought he'd have another first. Now we're going to see Barry Bonds. 4-game series in Miami beginning tomorrow night. That is a fair ball trickling in toward the corner. Holiday with a stand-up double to start the 3rd inning.
It's one of those routine ground balls that is not hit at somebody, just meandering down the left field line on a Sunday afternoon. Cruising down the foul line. Sunday afternoon. Right there. Didn't get a lot of it, but you see how far Gung is playing off third base. Just meandering down. Everybody getting out of the way. 2 easy bases.
Holiday not a very fast runner, so just the 2. And the bunt will advance the runner. Alberto.
Yeah, usually we say, well, there's a pitcher doing his job, running the runner over.
That sets up a chance to score the run on a fly ball. So the Rangers playing for 1, down 2 in the 3rd inning. Got a feeling that runs are hard to come by today?
Well, the way these guys are pitching so far, a couple of runs, one courtesy of a home run. As soon as we start thinking that, we wind up 11-12 or something.
Profar tried to hit an 11-run home run right there.
That's always fun for the pitcher to watch, that kind of swing. gives you thoughts of injury.
Liriano trying to get more swings. It's always been his MO, but this year his swings outside the strike zone are way down. Today, not so much. Looks like he's getting better chases from this hard swinging bunch.
That first swing by Profar. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Chop to first. Runner has to hold, and Freese tags the bag for the 2nd out.
Very nice. When you give up a leadoff double and you can prevent it from scoring, that's a little shot in the arm. It's 2/3 of the way there.
Let's take a look at our Point Park tweets on the Freese home run. Freese frame. Coach Rhino, Freese with the boomer. That was a boomer. Hit out to right center. Little squibber. Rodriguez gets the out on a nice play.
Really nice play.
Lead off double, left stranded.
That's the way he plays. That's the play he made.
Sunday afternoon from Texas. Buccos up 2-0. People here, of course, from Kansas City. That makes sense.
Really fine play by Sean Rodriguez, going over on his feet, but the bouncing up. That's the way he plays. It's a little microcosm. You've seen both Rodriguez and Josh Harrison really flash a lot of range, back and forth, sideways. That recovery.
And an accurate throw.
Yeah.
That was what I was worried about.
Yeah, on the way up.
You know, just on a knee like that. But Desmond runs pretty well. Rodriguez, turns out, still had a little bit of time to maybe get up and make a throw, but you don't know that. Great play. Due up second here in the fourth.
It seems like every time a guy makes a good play and you go into bat, he always comes up second.
I thought you were going to say that cliche again.
Yeah,
I was like, come on.
Yeah, everybody leads off the next inning. We used to keep track of that stuff.
Yeah, it's like once in a great while, but you point it out. You know, if you're thinking, oh, I want to buy a green car. Well, look at all these green cars. Well, because you're looking for a green car.
That's all you see.
I want to buy a yellow shirt. Oh, look, there's all these yellow shirts around. That's because Pirates fans are the best. Everywhere. I've really been impressed. I mean, going around and seeing just how. I mean, Friday night, you know, Pirates winning 9-1. There was a lot of reason to cheer, but there was a great amount of cheering when the Pirates did things well throughout the game.
Yep, and a huge crowd too. It wasn't like there was 3,000. There were 150 Pirate fans. You could hear them all over the place.
Yeah, they announced 37,000 on Friday, and a vocal minority.
I've got to go with you guys because I don't travel anymore. But you keep talking about going to different towns and seeing all the Pirate shirts and the noise relative to the size of the crowd. That's good. Pirates.
There were a lot in Denver. You know, I just think you know, if, some transplanted folks. Maybe work took them here, or family.
Well, we always hear that the Steelers travel so well. Steeler fans all over the place. Well, so do the Pirates.
There we go.
Yeah, you got a cover right there. Pirates and Steelers.
A Pittsburgh fan with the blue T-shirt behind. So yeah, a lot of Pittsburghers all around. There's one toward the gap. That's good to see from Cervelli. 3-2 fastball roped for a base hit. He'd been sliding a little bit, 186 in May, but picking up another base hit.
Right there in that hittable zone. That breaking ball stayed right in the sweet spot.
Second hit of the series as the designated hitter today.
And a decent pick by Desmond out in center field on the short hop to keep him at first base.
He's looked good in center field. Long-time national shortstop. Well, we've seen a number of shortstops kind of move to center field. You know, Robin Yount comes to mind. But, you know, an opportunity to just kind of get out there and run a little bit. One-year deal with Texas.
Off-speed delivery, showing out in front. 5 home runs, 15 RBIs.
Now, already more home runs this year than all last year.
Still limited opportunities, and he's cashed them in. Perez looking for a call on this delivery. There in the bottom part of the strike zone, didn't get it. Didn't get that one. He was looking for the last two. All of a sudden now the count 2-2. Let's see how close it was. Close, but just out of the area. Just below that one left-hand window pane.
I like that. Window pane.
Yeah, didn't hear any glass breaking.
Yeah.
So it must have been a ball.
That curveball that Darvish was throwing last night may not break glass. What was it, 66? I think he was throwing it last night.
Route 66, yeah. Talk about separation. What, 95, 90?
He touched 98, but 98. Yeah, 95, 96 consistently. And then you come up with that, it's 30 miles per hour slower. Yeah, it was really impressive last night.
It's like throwing a mackerel from the pitcher's mound. It's going to take that long to get to home plate.
Toward the gap.
And that's in the gap or over the gap. Yeah, that'll play.
Cervelli had to hold up to make sure it would get down on the double by Rodriguez. He's in at third. And bucks on the pond for Matt Joyce. Well, how many times does a guy make a great play?
Yeah, especially when it comes up second.
Waiting on that curveball there.
Yep. They've seen some good curveballs, but when you leave it up, you can start dealing with that. And that looked like it had the gap from the time it left the bat. They just weren't playing him that way.
So second and third, nobody out for Matt Joyce.
Rangers will give up a run. They'll play for an out.
And strike one. Well, the Rangers had a leadoff double last inning in the bottom of the third. Couldn't score them. And now 100 career doubles.
And now not looking down the barrel trying to get this out and then face the pitcher. That's not going to happen in the American League parks.
And a fair ball right at the bag. Oh, that's tough.
Bad luck.
There's nothing anybody could do about that.
No, it's a nice pick by Moreland over at first base. That ball could have bounced anywhere. Could have hit the bag. Could have had some spin on it. But he was able to get it. Looked like he had the short hop as it comes down here. Yeah, that's a really good play.
He's a very good first baseman, but that error that he made on Friday opened the door for a 5-run inning.
Now it changes. They're going to play in to try to cut this run off against Chris Stewart.
Need some smart hitting. Right at Profar. And the runners have to hold again.
And now the fans are getting into this as Perez has gotten 2 outs with runners at second and third, and now it's going to be up to Jordy Mercer.
Keep an eye on Rodriguez. He's thinking maybe he got to sign a contact.
Wow.
Alberto was calling, hey, Profar, throw it over here.
Yeah, he was in no man's land.
He would have had to stay in a rundown for a long time just to get Stewart to second base.
And now you've got a big item in this ball game. It's just the top of the 4th inning. The tables could be tipped in a certain direction, one way or the other. And a good block by Holliday on that breaking ball.
Holliday, a good defensive catcher.
And Perez knows who's in the on-deck circle, so here's the matchup he wants. I don't care what Andrew's hitting. You don't want any part of him anytime. No disrespect to Jordy.
Mercer a double already today. now behind 2-0. Mercer with 2 outs and runners in scoring position at 259 this year.
He's pitching like he'd rather face Andrew. He's pitching like that. He's not thinking like that. Trust me.
Mercer's drawn 8 walks in this situation too. So, hey, if he doesn't get a pitch to hit, we've seen this Pirates lineup always. They'll take their walk. .30 from Perez, taken all the way.
These are the little tidbits during the course of a Major League ball game where everybody gets very attentive.
3-1. And now full.
Staying with a fastball. 3-0, 2 fastballs in a row to get even in the count. Now he does have a base. You know, sometimes that will lead you to say, well, I don't have to give in and throw the fastball, because if I lose him, it doesn't matter. So we'll be interested to see what the pitch selection is. Big pitch coming up. Big situation.
2 on, 2 out. 3-2 to Mercer.
Stays with it. 3 fastballs in a row. And now you wonder about the comfort level. The more fastballs, obviously, you see, the more comfortable you are. See Doug Brocail, former Major League pitcher, saw a lot of him out of the Houston Astros bullpen for several years, watching his 25-year-old left-hander.
Whereas his pitch count at 72.
And now everybody getting real fired up. They have a sense of the drama.
3-2. Strike 3 call. And again with a fastball. And the Pirates with 2 men on in scoring position with nobody out. And the Rangers strand him.
It's time for the Toyota RAV4th inning. The all-wheel drive RAV Hybrid has performance that will make you rethink hybrid. Let's go Bucks!
Wow, huge bit of pitching by Martin Perez. Got a good play at first base and then a hard hit ball when they drew up the infield and then a strikeout. It's strong pitching.
Prince Fielder showing a bunt. Beltre and Mazara to follow. Heart of the Texas order. So both teams getting men in scoring position with nobody out. And their last ups could not score. And Fielder gets the Rangers on the board.
Does he ever? And so these folks went a little crazy when Perez got the strikeout, and now they're revving it up with the big man going deep. Just number 3.
He hadn't homered in 128 at-bats, the longest drought of his career. And he halves the Pirates' lead.
Number 10 that Liriano has given up, and this is 10th start. And that's too good for a power hitter. A little bit up, a little bit inside, right in the wheelhouse.
And at 91, that's easy pickings for a guy like Fielder. He's been doing that since he's 12 years old.
Yep. Liriano knew it when it left the bat. Just about everybody knew it when it left the bat. It's one of those high, majestic ones. Beltre trying to follow it up.
Yeah, he's taking some big cuts. I don't know if it's just the guns or whatever, but Liriano's velocity had ticked down today all across the board. Now 2-2 on Beltre, who has homered in each game of this series.
I mentioned Liriano 5-1 in his career work against the Rangers. 92 major league wins.
Now full on Beltre. That one at 92 from Liriano. And it's about the best gas he's been throwing today. He's been pretty efficient. He's not walked a batter until now. Sunday is Kids Day at PNC Park. The Bucks play the Angels at 1:35. All kids 14 and younger receive this Pillbox cap. Compliments of Trip Total Media. If you want to get tickets, go on to Pirates.com and come on out. See the Buccos and the Angels interleague play.
Championship hat.
You could even wear it like Pedro Strop.
No, you can't. Not allowed.
Or Sabathia. Tilt to it.
All kind of ways for people to draw attention to themselves.
I don't know how guys could pitch straight like that. Here's the fine rookie Mazara. Oh boy. Deep. Joyce is going to have room though. That's the first out of the inning and a loud one.
I was holding my breath because, you know, at PNC Park, where I work a lot, that ball is a real problem. This one got up in the air, not enough carry. And there's a little breeze coming in from right field. Might have made the difference.
I thought it was going to be at the wall.
It came off the bat big. And actually settled down a good bit. You can see Joyce kind of coming back in as the wind pushed it back a little bit.
That had to have had an effect. Might have saved a home run. It is a very warm afternoon. And so for pitchers, I imagine if they have a long inning, it could really fatigue them. But so far, Liriano has been up and down pretty quickly. behind 2-0 on Rua. 85 at game time. They start these games an hour later than a lot of the customary 1 p.m. local starts. It starts at 2 here. Everything a little bit different here at this ballpark. It's generally the hottest place to come around baseball.
Well, I remember 1,000 years ago coming to play the Houston Astros in Colt 45 Stadium.
Oh, before the Astrodome.
Yep, we play late in the afternoon Sundays, like 5 or 6. It was still brutal.
4-pitch walk. Liriano, who has walked more men than anybody in the National League, has issued 2 free passes here in the 4th.
Yeah, and you know, we told you about the situation last time out when he really had trouble with control in that 6th inning, I believe, and hope it doesn't evolve that way.
Got a lefty coming up, a chance to get a double play ball. Hey, it's time for our T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball. The Cardinals are taking on the Nationals in D.C. Washington trying to get 1 game out of that series. And the Cubs rolling per usual up 7-0 on the Phillies in the 6th inning at Wrigley. Pirates entering play today 5.5 back of the Cubs. Moreland, a double play candidate. Not when he does that.
Wow, that's a monster shot. I mean, a monster shot. That might have been a river ball. Pittsburgh.
Entering this series, 2 big struggling guys in the lineup, Fielder and Moreland. They both homered here in this inning, and it's 4-2 Texas.
And you will see that happen on occasion. When you lose contact, you lose your ability to throw the ball where you want to. You'll come into the strike zone just to throw strikes. And Liriano comes into the strike zone, and that's, again, inside in that power area, the wheelhouse. And Moreland doesn't miss it. I mean, this is just full contact baseball right there.
And Holiday, the batter. Well, Jeff Bannister saying throughout the media, you know, the reporters calling for something's got to be done about Fielder. Something's got to be done about Mitch Moreland, the DH and the first baseman. Not productive enough. And they haven't been very lately, but today they both homered and they've driven in all 4 runs. He's stuck with his guns.
Well up into the 2nd deck, as you can see.
And for Liriano, that the fastball velocity is down today, and the command for most of the afternoon has been wobbly. Easy play for Matt Joyce. And that's just the 2nd out. So 2 home runs, 2 walks. Rangers have plated 4.
Well, you know that phrase, Joe, that just missed it? When you see a lot of high fly balls that go straight up in the air, they're easy outs when they come down. But most people that know about hitting say you didn't miss it by much. And even that ball, straight up in the air. It doesn't apply all the time, but after a situation like we've just seen in this inning, you start thinking about it.
Well, Liriano, who cruised the last 2 innings.
And even the first 3, just what, 1 fly ball out? Now a lot of action in the outfield.
Going to 93. Into the mid-20s here this inning pitch-wise. On a hot day, that'll really tax you.
And just then, again, I saw him following through, kind of twisting around. I saw that when he was wild the other day, and you wonder if it's about fatigue. Sometimes when the legs aren't strong, you just kind of spin around a little bit. That I might not have any bearing on that, but I watched him that way when he was struggling with control. just with that follow through.
And he strikes out Alberto. But the Rangers with 4 on a pair of home runs by Fielder and Moreland. And the Pirates bats need to get going again. Part of the complex here with football stadium, baseball, and thrill rides here in Arlington, Texas, between Dallas and Fort Worth. Look at our Volkswagen standings. Cubs still leading the pack after a brief dry spell there. The Pirates winners of 10 of their last 13. Have picked up some ground. Still have some room over the Cardinals. We're bound to get it going soon again. Andrew McCutchen leads things off. In the air for the out. Little looping liner. It's Moreland with that majestic 3-run home run.
Guess who's up?
I'm hearing some boos.
Got to be David Freese.
He homered his last time.
Caused a lot of it, plus memories.
Rangers a strike away from winning the World Series until David Freese ended that. I was watching that game sitting in the lobby of a hotel. Next morning I was to be married, so it was a memorable night for me.
Well, it worked out for Freese and it worked out for you.
Yeah, Freese ended up with the game-winning homer in extra innings too in that game 6. Profar gets the second out. Now that Perez is working with Lee, does he pitch the Pirates any differently?
No. Nope. You don't want to. What is it? 4-2? No. Nothing established yet. Don't change anything until you get beat up. Even with a big lead, it's such a thin line whether you go away from what you're trying to do and get comfortable.
Especially with this Pirates offense. Pirates overall averaging more than 5 runs a game. So maybe get some extra run support for Liriano. That has been something Perez has not had really any of, that run support. Talk about that. Largely coincidental.
Yeah, this is a glut. There's a good play by Beltre on a short hop. That play made to look easier than it was.
First time today Perez has dealt a 1-2-3 inning.
Pirates Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the all-new Chevy Cruze and your Western PA Chevy dealers. And by Barrel. Visit our brand new Kia showroom in Wexford. More vehicles than ever at the very best prices. Let's go Bucks!
Having some fun here today, hoping the Pirates can come back after that 4-run Texas fourth. 4-2 Rangers. Top of the order against Liriano.
Yep. Keep your wits and your head about you. We'll come back and win this thing.
Pirates averaging better than 5 runs a game, so just keep it close. It was easier said than done last night. And the Rangers have a lead, as we saw. Their bullpen is pretty good.
Yeah, which is almost a contradiction. It's an easy play for Young, because their bullpen has been beat up, but when they have a lead, they're not beat up apparently. There's the group out there.
Well, like most teams, you know, the best guys are saved for when they have a lead. When they're behind,
yep.
And bring in the very best. And Desmond takes one up high. Liriano giving up a pair of home runs in that 4th inning. The first 2 home runs that he's allowed to lefties this season, and allowed a lefty to hit a home run since Cargo hit one in late August last year. Little flare and a base hit for Ian Desmond.
Fourth inning, the Prince got it over the wall.
First home run.
He just muscled the ball.
He got a good pitch to hit.
It's been the first one in a while.
Yeah, he went 128 at bats without one, longest stretch of his career. It's unusual to see Liriano give up a home run to a lefty, but that fastball command, Steve, that has been not the best today.
Yep, he's walked a couple.
Both in that 4th inning.
You need speed and direction when you want to pitch in the big leagues. You kind of like to stay away from the middle part of the plate. Those 2 home runs, middle in, and a little bit up for loft.
Yeah, to lefties, that's usually the best spot. And at 93, that equals, by my estimation, the best fastball we've seen today from Liriano. So at least on the guns here, velocity just a tick down today on a very warm day.
And when you're missing, you might be throwing strikes, but are they quality strikes? It gets tough when you're facing the big boys, the home run hitters.
Trying to get guys to chase as Fielder did his first time up and does there.
Tried to hold up on this, but couldn't. That cost him. Almost the same location on that pitch. Goes ahead in the count. You see that, and again, not to beat it up, but the big guys, when you're behind in the count and you have to come into that zone, they don't hurt you a little bit. They hurt you a lot. No. Francisco's got to make a pitch. and he does, but that's, I'd like to see that direction. It looked a little bit up, a little bit in. Again, that delivered to get a strike. Okay, it wasn't the fastball, but see where that location is? Ouch.
And he's been throwing the slider when he needs a strike behind in the count. Fastball's not been reliable today.
I want to throw that breaking ball up there.
There's
Easy,
one.
easy double play.
And there's two, a double play. Nicely turned. And erases the single and keeps it at 4-2 Texas as we move on to the 6th. On Friday for a Free Shirt Friday when the Bucks battle the Angels at 7:05. If you're one of the first 20,000 fans through the gates, you receive a free Pirates 1971 t-shirt presented by Sheets. For tickets, go to pirates.com/freeshirtfriday. Josh Harrison, our model. Hopefully he is getting better soon. I've been under the weather last few days, so not in the starting lineup today. Maybe this guy's first game. Rangers on top. Marte trying to
easy base hit. Haha, was that pretty?
Tom Amansky couldn't teach it any better.
You got a left-hander that's following through toward third base. You push it past him, and then you just win the race. And he can win a lot of races. That's as good as you can do that. Very nice, Stone. Trying to get something going. Good play at a good time.
Is it easier or harder for a left-handed pitcher to try to make that play coming off the mound?
Oh, it's much tougher because a right-hander follows through toward first base. He's got a chance because his follow-through is taking him over there. Then it becomes an issue. You got to make sure you bunt it hard enough. This one, even if he didn't get that much distance, it probably would have been a good thing because of the pitcher going toward third and having to stop and change direction and head back to try to get the ball. That was about as pretty as it can be.
Marte with his first hit today. Now 4 for 12 in the series. And always a threat to run. He swiped 16 bags. Only Jonathan Villar of the Brewers has more in the senior circuit. Ryan Holiday just a tick below average in terms of caught stealing so far this year, but a good defensive catcher.
Usually you get some help from your left-hand pitchers.
high 2-0.
Perhaps Perez a victim of divided attention. Thinking about Marte before he's returning to give his attention to Cervelli.
Well, that's a good point, Steve. You know, every time the Pirates have had a hit today, the next batter's reached. Oh, the first hit, at least, in the inning. Otherwise, the inning would never end. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. It's a subtle little thing that people don't think about as much. But when you are on the mound and base stealers at first base, you've got to have your initial attention to him, and then it's like working with a light switch. You got to switch it back to the hitter, and sometimes you'll have to do a back and forth just to make sure you give that base stealer some different looks.
Looks like he's pretty quick home too.
Yeah, he's not the biggest guy in the world. He's just 6 foot, 200 pounds. So it's not like he has a tremendous number of big moving parts to work with to be quick over to first base. And he's left-handed, so he's got some stuff going on. That bullpen you talked about, Barnett.
Tony Barnett, the right-hander. There's a ball driven into right, a base hit for Cervelli.
A couple of knocks for Francisco, and the Pirates started like they did in the fourth when they couldn't cash in, but now they keep coming at you. That's the approach. Flood the base pass with Pirates. Right in the middle. The middle window pane just got broken.
And still taking it the other way. Great approach.
Brocale out there once again, and it might be all of a sudden. I didn't know this was coming after 1, 2, 3, 5th, but the leash on Perez might be shortened. Again, Tommy John 2 years ago, but came back to make a bunch of starts, 14 starts after the surgery the next day. Larry, Larry, I would suggest you do that in person, but it's up to you. It's your daughter.
I don't know. He's singing some sort of song. I'm glad I'm not Larry. Perez has thrown as many as 105 pitches this season. Sean Rodriguez doubled his last time. And the Pirates had some chances with second and third, nobody out in the fourth.
Pitch number 88 coming up at some point. Well, the Pirates made him work a good bit in the first inning.
What do you think Cervelli would say about that sign we just saw?
Well, my friend, you got to do that in person.
In the air to right.
Way up in the air to right.
Uh-oh. And Mazara able to corral it.
I'll tell you, it looks like, I don't know if it has anything to do with the building, but something that gets way up in the air. These guys are really struggling to keep track of the baseball. It's kind of a cloudy sky, semi-sun, semi-cloud, so it must present some difficulties. Balls up in the air have been a challenge, and this one's up in the air for a long time.
Yeah, those balls that get very high up, that breeze, which is always blowing here in Texas, will affect it. It's blowing in from right. And we saw a ball hit by Mazara. In fact, might have left the ballpark, but instead the wind blowing it back in. It could almost been 3 home runs all by lefty batters in that inning. Matt Joyce.
The Pirates have had opportunities. They've left 5 on base. They've got 2 more working here with 1 out in the 6th.
One flick of the wrist, Pirates could be back on top.
Yep. Fans thinking that was pretty close to being a pickoff, but
it was close, in my opinion, closer to going into center field than it was getting the out.
Yeah, pretty good save. Exactly right. you throw the ball on the shortstop side on those pickups, there's a lot of traffic all of a sudden. Starling back in safely, but getting Perez's attention. Another chance for the Bucks.
Now down 2 strikes. Very limited action, but Joyce 3 out of 10 with 3 walks against lefties. Then Hurdle putting him in there today instead of Polanco. Polanco basically just getting a day off, more so than Joyce subbing in for him against the lefty. Marte heading to third and will get in standing with his 17th stolen base. Very surprising.
Something we usually put on our scorecard. WW wasn't watching for Perez.
Yes. But a curious steal with a left-handed batter up there too.
Well, if you see nobody's going to pay attention, either the pitcher or third baseman, look at, not an issue of strolling on over there.
Well, what do we say? You know, if you're going to do something like that, you better be sure. Well, that's about as sure as it gets.
Yeah.
Walking into third base. Fly ball can get a run here.
And now you need Matt Joyce to have some good discipline, because they're going to try to get him to chase. That being said, try to get somebody to chase something with a runner at third base, a breaking ball, you might be able to pick up a cheap run.
Pirates down a pair here in the 6th. And Joyce strikes out. Third strikeout for Martin Perez.
And it couldn't come at a bigger time for him. That's a tough pitch. That really is a pitcher's pitch right there. You can't do much with it. You can't take it. And once again, the Pirates are going to have to do something with 2 outs.
Yu Darvish so tough yesterday. The Pirates have had a few chances against Perez today. 2 men on, nobody out in scoring position in the 4th. Nothing across here. It started at 1st and 2nd with nobody out. Up to the number 9 hitting Chris Stewart. Pirates 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position today. A bunt and rolling foul. Ooh.
Trying to catch him off guard.
Smart hitting. I like that idea.
Look at Beltre, how deep he is.
If he can get it on the grass,
now to
that's
me,
a base hit.
That's smart. That's smart hitting. Now the other
Yes.
stuff, any time you get a hit is smart, but that's smart hitting, I think.
If that ball was lay on the grass just a couple of inches in, it probably stays on the grass. And that'd been a base hit and an RBI. Now, Beltre is going to still play back. Do you try it again?
I don't. Well, he's still back there.
Still back. If you execute it, I wonder.
You take away the surprise element. Well, maybe you still have the surprise, because nobody's thinking of him trying it a second time.
Will he do it again?
I don't think so now.
You got to make a great bunt, and Stewart just missed that first time.
Yeah. And now you can listen in the background. They're going to start revving things up again with Perez out in front.
First and third, 2 outs. 0-2.
Now there's a pitch that a lot of people don't like. They don't like to see it up and in. But 0-2, I mean, it's a smart pitch by a pitcher. It's simple as that. And it opens things up, gets the batter's attention.
Now the 1-2.
A lot of umpires. Stands. That's a tough take. That's a really good take by Chris. Just barely missing. It's tough to take those.
Nearing 100 pitches, still throwing that one at 95.
Yeah, they want one more out of him, and then he's gone.
Pirates hope to knock him out.
Boy, do they ever.
2-2. And that'll get him out of the inning again. And the Pirates strand 2 more and still trail 4-2. Update, and the Rangers still without slugger Josh Hamilton, and will be that way for the rest of the season as he recovers from left knee surgery. Shin-Soo Choo came back, went back on the DL, strained left hamstring for him, so they're hoping to get their outfield complete sometime soon.
Well, that's the thing with those hamstrings. You come back, and if it's not healed, boy, you're out for another period of time. Got to make sure with those muscle pulls.
4-2 Rangers here in the bottom of the 6th. Yeah, the Rangers have been dealing with a lot of injuries, but they're just a half game out of first place coming into today. Beltre with a pair of home runs in the series. Winner takes the series. Rangers have won 7 series in a row here at home. Pirates on their hot streak have won 3 straight series, trying to do so on the road against a very good team.
Rocket shot over into the dugout.
Hey, Kenny.
Ken,
you okay?
All right, thumbs up. Way to go. Yep. Steely gray eyes, cat-like movements for Kenny. Meanwhile, Ray Searage never moved.
I think he's seen a ball or two whiz past him in his day.
Again. Uncle, Adrian, Uncle.
Beltre not making friends over there.
Jonathan Neese.
It wasn't that long ago they didn't have those protectors in front of the dugouts. Maybe about 25 years ago.
One of the first ones of that type was that I remember was in the Astrodome, because the dugouts are so close. And they had the little short screens to protect the players.
I used to just might as well put a target on you.
Yep.
Just a little poke for a base hit.
They also, Joe, have those protective screens for the fans in back of the dugouts now too.
Yeah, those are new this year.
Yep.
Those ones part of some ballparks adding additional protection. That was a big topic of conversation last year.
Cole Hamels, with Beasley. The Beezer, glad to see that he's hanging in there health-wise, doing better.
First one down low to Nomar Mazara.
Tony Beasley, formerly doing a lot of work for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and has been through some cancer issues, chemotherapy, but at this point, Tony's doing great, and that's great to hear.
And not coaching right now, but with the ball club the last couple of days, periodically when they're at home. And John Wehner was telling me yesterday that things are going well for him, and getting close to maybe even returning some point soon. Spike Owen filling in over as the third base coach.
Yeah, kind of an open door policy for Tony. Be here when you can, when you're comfortable, when it feels right, and that's great to give him that kind of freedom to do whatever is the right thing to do.
That's a foul ball. Freese almost got himself 2 outs with that hustle coming up the line.
Almost grabbed it, fetched it on the fair ball side, tried to fetch it.
That's pretty good wherewithal for a guy that doesn't play a whole lot of first base, right?
There's the chop. Both feet on the foul line.
What a good idea.
Yep.
Ben Hurdle says he really likes his actions over at first base, even though he's played very limitedly over there.
Major league infielder. Different things to keep track of over at first base. Certainly more responsibilities, but major league infielder.
Doesn't always translate.
No, it does not.
With Freese and Jaso playing over there, it's not looked out of place. Two. Now full.
Looks like Francisco's really struggling right now to do what he wants with the baseball, throw the baseball where he wants to.
Had a couple of quick innings, the second and third. Ball inside. And so Mazara works the walk. Beltre running on 3-2 didn't matter, and so now the bullpen getting up with Rob Scahill. He's had a couple of good appearances in a row. Mariano's pitch count still favorable, but like you said, Steve, yeah, just
now Ray's going to come out.
We've seen that not at every start, but you can basically pinpoint the starts that he's struggled in this year or done okay. That fastball command hasn't been great, and it's been more than just a rarity for him.
Yeah, he works off the fastball, gets him to the slider, the changeup, fastball to keep him honest.
Hey, you can follow the Pirates live with MLB.com at bat, and the app allows you to stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast, and news. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet.
Now the Pirates have to be ready for just about anything. Would they try to move the runners over here? No.
Well, that's not an outrageous suggestion, because they try to play for 1 run after a leadoff double back in the 3rd inning.
Young even with the bag at 3rd. These are 2 runners as the Rangers tried to add on.
We're part of the left field platoon until Chu gets back. It's lefty as well.
Well, we need Liriano to do what Perez did. Get out of a jam or 2.
2-0. There's a strike. When he's needed a strike, it's either been with a slider or the changeup today.
Yep, like the change.
couple of home runs in the 4th inning by Fielder and Moreland. The first time that Liriano had allowed 2 home runs to lefties in the same game in his entire career, let alone in a single inning.
He needs a strikeout here to get to Moreland as a left-hand batter, and didn't quite get it there. Now it really becomes dicey. Now you're at another crossroads in this ballgame. You're either going to get an out and move toward leaving these runners on, or they're going to load the bases with nobody out, and you really are deep in the stew.
And doesn't chase. Bases full of Rangers and nobody out.
And the back-to-back concerns with control for Francisco. 5 walks last time out. Now that's number 4.
He's walked more men than anybody in baseball.
And now you really need the strikeout here.
Or a double play.
Yep.
Right? I mean, you could still
trade
a run for 2 outs here. Still within 3 at that point. Moreland not a fast runner. But Moreland last time hit a 3-run home run deep into the 2nd deck and right.
Well, he leads the Rangers in strikeouts, so he is vulnerable. Swinging out of his shoes there. That is a big power swing at a breaking ball that he couldn't hit.
Not a piece of it.
Now, he wants to go with a slider now, down and away and get him to chase, but it's dangerous business with a runner at 3rd base. But he's got the advantage. He's got a pitch or 2 to work with.
And he gets that big strikeout.
Got him downstairs. Yeah, you don't want any part of the upper middle part of the strike zone there. He got him to chase this breaking ball. Beautifully done. It's a tough pitch because it's far enough downstairs, and you can't take it. You're going to get called out, and the batter doesn't want that. So a big step for Francisco. Not out of the soup yet, but well, as you said, Joe, we could use a ground ball sharply hit right at Sean Rodriguez. Pick him out.
You got your man with Brian Holiday.
That's a run.
That's going to be deep enough. Beltre trots in, sac fly Brian Holiday. 5-2 Texas. Batted out. Texas flag. And to keep it close. Liriano, 97 pitches, has only exceeded 100 once. We get Hanser Alberto, number 9 hitter, in there for Elvis Andrus today at short. These Rangers, one of the better offensive teams as well in baseball. Today, 4 walks from Liriano, 2 coming around to score ahead of the Moreland home run. He's got a chance to strand the other 2 here.
Activity in that bullpen.
Matt Bush. Liriano with his 6th strikeout. So bases loaded, nobody out. Rangers settle for 1, but they've still got the lead, 5-2. Another good win. They salvaged one game of that series.
But more good work for Stradivarius. Goes to 9-0. Strasburg.
Looks like that's going to be it for Liriano, hitting the 100 pitch mark. Maybe he could still get the win if Pirates can rebound here in the 7th.
They'll have to do it against Matt Bush. Comes in after Perez goes 6 innings, a couple runs, 7 hits, a walk, 3 strikeouts.
Top of the order with Mercer to start.
Bush has been very good, 1.04 ERA, just 8 2/3 innings, 9 strikeouts, and the 1 free pass.
Got out of the jam yesterday, a couple of singles, and then a couple of strikeouts. It's a quick first out. Bush, a tremendous story, and did not pitch for 4 years until being signed by the Rangers this offseason. They went to take a look at a tryout in a Golden Corral parking lot in Jacksonville, Florida. That's where Bush had his tryout. He was on.
He got things started with the Jose Batista situation with Odor, part of that whole scenario. But a lot of guys start careers outside that Golden Corral. I've seen it happen 1,000 times.
Well, he was on work release.
Yeah, well.
And it's a nice story because the Rangers were able to give him a second chance. They've been known to give guys second chances before, and Bush able to get his life in order at 30 years old, making the big leagues for the first time after being drafted #1 overall 12 years ago as a shortstop. And to see a guy who hadn't picked up a baseball in 4 years to all of a sudden ascend to the big leagues like that and have great success. What a great story, and a better personal story for Matt Bush, who's now back on track in life.
A lot of life changes in a lot of ways.
This one rocketed to left, the curling foul. Here the Rangers showing that they had a pretty good bullpen last night when they had the lead. 4 innings out of their bullpen yesterday. Pirates didn't score until 1 out in the 9th. Touch it with that run scoring double back in the 1st. David Freese homered in the 3rd. That's accounted for the Pirates scoring.
And we're sitting on last night's final score.
Got to change that around. Freese is up next. Now full 3-2.
Base runners. This ball game is still available.
The Pirates have had 2 men on with nobody out in the 4th and 6th and did not score in either inning. But you're right, Steve. You just keep getting more chances and you're bound to score.
You know the approach the Pirates have. Put people on base, see what happens.
Jeff Branson, Jeff Livesey, the assistant hitting coach as well, done a great job working with these hitters. This has been a very, very good group this year. 4th best in all of baseball in runs per game. It's a foul ball.
Andrew looking for that fastball at 95 miles an hour and out in front of it. That's how early some of these swings are starting.
Well, Bush could get it up there in the upper 90s and has one of the best spin rates in baseball. That ball moves a lot too. Swinging a foul back.
I was wondering if we could get a foul ball up in this area. I guess it's possible.
That one wasn't too far from us. A short overhang area in front of our catbird seat.
Yeah, a lot of different opinions on that that fight between the Rangers and the Blue Jays. Differing opinions on how things should be done or not done, or why they're done.
Rougned Odor, the Rangers second baseman, serving his suspension, reduced to 7 games. That started on Friday, coinciding with the beginning of this series. So Jurickson Profar called up to fill in for him as the leadoff man and the second baseman.
And this is becoming quite a battle here. Mr. Bush and Mr. McCutchen.
This will be the 11th pitch upcoming.
Busy window.
And Matt Bush wins that battle. George Bush has won plenty in Texas too. Bush is the one that hit Bautista.
Bautista goes into second base. Odor doesn't like that, and then he gets the right hand in on Bautista.
And slap with the left.
It's a 1-2 combination. Right hook and the left jab.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
Hello. What? You know, a lot of people say, well, it was a dirty play to go into second base. He was trying to hurt him because he got hit. And then other people will go back to the fact that Bautista with the bat flip stuff. I don't know. You know, as a pitcher, I don't like the bat flip. You know, I don't like people showing people up.
Went back to last year's postseason.
Yeah. And people say that he waited too long. Different pitchers have different ideas about that. Some like to get this guy right after. Some people like to wait.
Matt Bush wasn't with the Rangers last year.
Yeah.
The two teams had already met. That was the 7th and final meeting of the season, and they waited for Bautista's final plate appearance of that whole season series before the shenanigans took place.
Another pick.
Yeah, he's good over there.
Yep. He made a very important pick earlier. He makes one here.
Matt Bush with a 1-2-3 inning.
Pirates Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Kenny Ross, Total Confidence Pricing, and by Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture showrooms and freestanding stores. Let's go Bucks!
Bottom of the 7th coming up. Hope you had a good stretch. Rangers have the lead 5-2. And here's how we got here back in the 4th inning. Brent Fielder with his first home run in 128 at-bats. And then another lefty. Mitch Moreland, after 2 walks, a 3-run home run. First time Liriano allowed home runs to 2 lefties in the same game, let alone the same inning. That's how the Rangers got 4 of their runs.
And that'll give you a little indication about the control issues for Liriano, because it just doesn't happen against lefties. So missed his spots, paid the price.
Liriano is through after 6. Gave up 6 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 4 walks, struck out 6, and those 2 home runs.
Rob Scahill taking over for the Pirates, working here against the top of the batting order in the bottom of the 7th. His numbers, just a marvelous job. What, the last game of the homestand or one of those games came in a full-blown jam and got out of it. Got a double play and a fly ball.
Yeah, back on Thursday against Arizona.
Got a great appearance.
8 pitches, 3 outs, 2 batters, and then followed it up with a scoreless inning on Friday in the opener of this series.
And again, hold the fort. This is a 3-run baseball game. Might seem a little bit more than that with the drama of the big home runs, but the Pirates still can get this done.
They have come back from this deficit to win on multiple occasions this season. Profar, then Desmond and Fielder. Profar so far 1 for 3.
You know, people talk about getting out of the way of pitches when the ball is thrown near your head. You know, your reaction's back, but you've got those feet planted pretty good too, and moving around. It's hard when that ball is right at your shins. Breaking ball, fastball, trying to get out of the road.
And a base hit to left. Rangers have had the leadoff man on in 5 of the 7 innings.
Partly cloudy.
Haze giving way to that partly cloudy sky. Warm, 85 at game time. They don't play a lot of day action even on Sundays here. If the team's traveling, they afford early in the season, they afford them a day game, but middle of summer they still play them at night. They have in the past, at least. And Desmond 1 out of 3. There's a here in this ballpark. You were saying earlier, Steve, about it. Old Colt 45 Stadium. Most of the parks in the south or the extreme north, probably with the exception of here in Minnesota, the 2 extremes weather-wise. Otherwise, usually if you're in that tougher weather, there's a roof.
Yeah. Yep.
These days.
Some you can open, some you can't.
Broke his bat. Only play is to first.
You don't have to get in on the hands anymore, although that one does. Sometimes you hit the ball on the end of the bat and they're so brittle they'll break. But that one, as they say, was in his kitchen. Or as Jackie Hernandez would say, oh man, he got that ball in his chicken. Right after he'd hollered with the home plate umpire, axe him. Axe him if he went around.
Profar moves to second with 1 out. Fielder 1 for 3.
I hope you get a chance to see Jackie Hernandez in Miami. He's one of my favorite guys. His favorite, though, you know, the umpires are squeezing a pitcher, not giving the calls. Wasn't Jackie just didn't ask him straight out. He says, don't squeeze the charm, like the Charmin. Mr. Whipple used to, that's how Jackie would phrase it. He was great. Still is great. Watch out in the stands.
2 strikes on Fielder. Hey, Robbie's got more about the ballpark here in Arlington.
Yeah, so Globe Life Park, Joe and Steve, it's only 23 years old, but it sounds like it's not going to be the home of the Rangers for too much longer. So spanning off what you were saying, Arlington City Council has unanimously approved a plan for the new retractable roof stadium. Now, next up is a state agency review before a city council vote to put the measure on the ballot in November. So the ballpark would be expected to be ready for the 2021 season, but the designs have not been finalized. So the entertainment complex would be built as well around the new ballpark along with a hotel. There's obviously not much right around the ballpark area here, but the whole thing is a proactive effort to keep the team here in the city of Arlington, where they have played baseball since 1972.
It's interesting that we're seeing the Braves moving out of their 20-something, but 20-year-old stadium to go to a better part of town for what they're hoping to do, so to speak.
Well, couldn't they just go over and play where the Cowboys play? Isn't that place big enough?
Well, maybe too big, but
$1 billion.
Yeah,
across the building.
Yeah, that's right along not right alongside, but right in the same complex here. And Arlington sits between Dallas and Fort Worth, and so trying to keep the Rangers in Arlington where they've been the whole time. And they're going to stay in the area, of course, but they want to put a roof on. So when people want to get things done, they get things done.
It doesn't look like for lack of fan support.
No.
There's been a ton of people here this weekend.
I would imagine well over 100,000 in a 3-game series.
There's a little battle between Scahill and the Prince.
And the weather has been, for this time of year in Texas, cool. Mid to upper 80s. Second home of the Rangers. Now 3-2 on Fielder.
Now you got a base to put him, but you don't want to do that because that brings the tying run up to the plate. Or excuse me, that lends them the opportunity to add on.
And Beltre is homered.
And Beltre coming up
in each game of this series. Yeah, single and a walk today. 3-2 from Scahill.
And it goes.
Long at bat here from Fielder.
Yeah, we want
number 9 coming up.
We want that scenario for the Pirates to have 2 on. Time run coming up.
And the Pirates had a couple of chances in the 4th and 6th innings. 2 men on, nobody out.
They left 7 runners on base for the first 7 tries.
Down 5-2 in the 7th. And will be out number 2.
Scahill wins that battle.
He'll still have to face Beltre. He's been a fountain of youth this series. Doesn't play like a 37-year-old at third base, huh?
No, he doesn't. With the bat or the glove.
Single and a walk today, 1 for 2. Profar at second with 2 outs. Good pitch.
And he still gets his money's worth when he swings. That wasn't swinging to contact.
Trying to keep it at 5-2. Rangers still have Barnett loosening in the bullpen.
Look like Beltre got something he wasn't looking for the strike. It puts Rob out in front 0-2. Keeps him out in front 0-2.
And this would be, if he can get out of this, this would be another good outing for Scahill, who, as you mentioned, Steve, had that tight situation back on Thursday and then pitched well again on Friday. There's Barnett loosening in the Texas pen. The Pirates middle relief when they've been trailing in games by a run or 2 or 3. That distance has grown a lot of times. He swung and missed. He'll have to be thrown out, and he won't be. Here's the relay to the plate. Scahill with the tag, and he's safe, and the Rangers get another run.
Now, was there any degree of interference with the opportunity for Freese to make the play at first base? Clint Hurdle's going to come out and explore that.
Was Beltre running inside the line?
And now Clint Fagan going out to meet Clint Hurdle. As you see the Rangers add on.
Watch where Beltre is running. No path for the catcher to throw to. He's supposed to run on the right of the line.
Was he on? Looked like at the end he was on the line, perhaps, but they satisfy Clint's inquiry.
Profar safe.
Yep. So they add on.
Running inside the baseline is the judgment call. And so Clint Hurdle's only recourse was to try to argue. That was that. And so a strikeout, a wild pitch. And I'm presuming, I haven't seen, there's the throwing error on Stewart. Allows Profar to score, and the Rangers pick up a run. That one is a real kick in the teeth right there.
Yeah, that's a tough one to swallow.
And Scahill got the strikeout and then had to cover home plate. Didn't expect that to happen. Here's Mazara. An easy out for Freese. That ends the inning. Rangers pick up a run on the error and lead 6-2 as we send it to the 8th. The expansive AT&T Stadium. That is where the Dallas Cowboys play, part of the campus here in Arlington, Texas. Rangers have a 6-2 lead as we start the 8th inning. Talking with Mark Melancon yesterday, he said he went over there, got a tour, and got the whole look at that place, which is immaculately taken care of. And people still enjoying it here today. Look at our social media from Point Park. Having a great time watching the game today. There's no better place to be on a Sunday afternoon.
Yep, had a chance to meet a fellow who has a real connection with the AT&T Stadium and the Dallas Cowboys in the city of Pittsburgh, Rich Dalrymple, their PR man. for the Cowboys. Grew up in the North Hills. Had a nice visit with him and his son Clayton. No relation to Dalrymple, the catcher.
Clay Dalrymple.
Clay, but Clayton, see, they picked up his name for his son, Clayton.
Oh.
Tony Barnett.
Long-time pitcher in Japan. And the delivery shows that. I was talking with Jung Ho Kang yesterday through interpreter H.K. Kim about Kang, who was not in the starting lineup yesterday, if he would get a chance to face Yu Darvish. Would that be interesting to him? Kang is from Korea. Darvish is from Japan. But I was curious, do players that hail from Asia have an interest over here in one another? And he said, at least in his case, yeah, and Darvish especially wanted to get a chance to face him. Did not get that chance. But Barnett, even though he's a U.S.-born player, has almost as much experience in Japan as Darvish does.
Slender right-hander. See how he comes to the set and he kind of pulls everything in to kind of hide the body, hide the fact that he's starting to make his move to home plate. Kind of carries the glove and the ball back over the hip.
And then that pause. Beltre. It's the first out. You don't see a lot of U.S.-born pitchers have that kind of segmented delivery like that.
We've seen a couple.
There 6 years.
Yeah. We've seen a couple guys hide the ball back on the hip like that. Was Papelbon like that? Yeah.
A little tuck and twirl. Marte with a bunt base hit. Back of the 6th. Barnett pitched 6 years for the Yakult Swallows and was the big-time closer over there. There's Marte with another base hit. Very easy double for Starling Marte, his second hit today.
Another example of his versatility as a hitter. Drop down a perfect bunt and then yank one down in the corner.
Barnett got him yesterday. Second look at him. It's his man this time. Pirates need to keep the line moving here. Down 4 in the 8th. Cervelli with a pair of singles today. That was good to see. Working as the designated hitter this afternoon.
What would a major league hitter love any more than that? You don't have to play. You get to hit all day.
Well, it's funny, you know, Clint Hurdle approached David Freese and asked him if he'd like to DH over the weekend, and Freese said, I'd much rather play in the field. But I'm with you. Hey, especially a catcher, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Don't have to squat 200 times a day. Moves the runner over, but now 2 gone.
That ball hard hit.
So 2 gone. Sean Rodriguez on his way to the plate, and the Pirates after this one on their way to Miami. A look at our Nissan road ahead.
Yeah, circle that second game. Garrett Cole against Jose Fernandez. That is a pitching matchup for your very own self.
Some of the best young hard throwers in the game. And the Marlins off to a pretty good start this year too. So try to see what Bucks can do on this road trip. Garrett Cole, the first overall pick in that 2011 draft. And Jose Fernandez picked later on in that first round.
Garrett kind of grooving on a Sunday afternoon.
That's Jake Diekman, lefty. Four-run lead last night. They still went with their closer Dyson in the ninth. These same men to get him there after 5 innings from Darvish. Today 6 innings from Martin Perez.
There was that screen again in back of the dugout protecting the fans.
Well, Pirates have had some chances today and done a great job at, for the most part this season, converting those chances, but this series has turned the other way. 1 for 9 today with runners in scoring position. And yesterday 1 for 10. Rodriguez with a double back of the 4th.
High strike, perhaps. Perhaps not. Let's make the judgment.
You make the call.
PNC Sports Medicine calls it a strike.
I remember watching those during This Week of Baseball. They give you that umpire rules challenge.
Yes. Yep.
You make the call. This one should reach the seats. It will.
Yeah, that one was inside the window up in the attic area. Just
talk about that window pane of a strike zone. Pirates out hitting the Rangers 8-7. The Rangers with 2 big home runs today. Fielder leading off the 4th, and then another lefty batter, Mitch Moreland, a 3-run home run following 2 walks. Laureano started, went 6. Strike 3 call. And it remains 6-2 Texas.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Pittsburgh Pirates and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Bottom of the 8th inning, and no stranger to this ballpark. Neftali Feliz on. And getting a smattering of applause as he's introduced.
He follows Rob Scahill, who gave up a run, kind of a bizarre run on a strikeout. Gave up the base hit.
Feliz, who pitched his entire career with the Rangers prior being let go on July 3rd of last year. An all-star here, a rookie of the year here. Appeared in 2 World Series. Now a Pirate.
Extensive resume.
And he'll face Jared Hoying, pinch hitting for Rua. Hoying with his first big league hit last night. Now 1 for 7. His first call up. Rob Scahill went an inning, gave up an unearned run. And forever tied together, Feliz and Freese. Teammates now.
Yep. But a history.
Pop up. Young gets the first out. Well, let's go downstairs to Robbie. He's got more on these two.
Yeah, Neftali Feliz made his big league debut in 2009 with the Texas Rangers. That was just 3 months after he turned 21. He made a quick impact, and he also made some history a year later. He saved Game 3 of the 2010 World Series against the Giants. He became the second youngest player ever to record a save in the history of the World Series. The youngest was Bob Welch of the Los Angeles Dodgers back in 1978. He was 21. But the guy Feliz replaced in the record books, how about his old boss, the guy you talked about earlier, Joe and Steve, Nolan Ryan.
Wow. He's got 2 quick outs here. Good facts.
Nolan was the boss.
You were the boss of him twice.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier today.
Yep. We didn't need to bring in the fear of facing him. Yeah, just the numbers are fine.
That's Sam Dyson, the closer. Here's a first pitch strike to Holiday.
Dyson has 5.
Feliz has pitched very, very well. This is his 8th game here in the month of May, and has yet to allow a run in May. In fact, he hasn't allowed a run in more than a month. Going back to April. Not even an inherited runner. He's only allowed one of those to score all year anyway. He's been a great pickup. Texas cut him loose July 3rd, designated him for assignment last year. Went to Detroit. Things didn't get much better. And here just very quietly being a very productive member of the Pirates bullpen. And he works an easy 1-2-3 inning. 9th inning coming up. Last chance for the Buccos. This road trip tomorrow as they open a 4-game series from Miami. And you can see the Bucks take on the Marlins tomorrow starting at 6:30 with Pirates pregame presented by W.B. Mason right here on Root Sports.
Speaking of Miami, former Miami Marlin coming in to try to put a lid on this game for the Rangers, Sam Dyson, as Jeff Locke looks on.
Saw Dyson last night in a non-save situation. Brought him in with a 4-run lead yesterday and gave up a run. Well, if the Rangers hold on to this one, they'll have won 8 consecutive series here at home. This is going to be no easy task to take 2 out of 3 here. But the Pirates still with 3 outs to go. Joyce, Stewart, Mercer due up. John Jaso has moved in the on-deck circle for Stewart. And ball 1 to Joyce. 0 for 2 today.
I told you that Dyson has saved 5, 24 innings, 19 strikeouts.
And there's a strike. Pitch. And Moreland gets the first out. And just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in the game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. It's Moreland with that 3-run home run in the 4th.
Your attention, please. For Pittsburgh, number 28, John
And that
Jaso.
one was really tough, following the 2 walks.
Big part of why we're where we are right now. Huge part.
Well, here's John Jaso. Let's hope that the Pirates give up the DH today. I'll explain. Well, Stewart's out of the game. And if the Pirates, if we have a bottom of the 9th inning, and they want to use Cervelli, who's the DH today, as the catcher, well, to move the DH into the field, they will forfeit using the DH for the remainder of the game. So it would just have their pitcher bat or have a pinch hitter. But that would mean that that would be the case as Stewart is out now. But that would mean that the Pirates score at least 4 runs here.
Yeah, I was thinking of the other side of that coin.
So that's good.
Yep, Sam Dyson on the mound for the Rangers. Started out his major league career with the Toronto Blue Jays after being drafted by Washington, but parts of 3 or 4 years with the Marlins before becoming a Ranger.
1 out in the 9th. So very seldom has appeared as a pinch hitter. Just 1 out of 4. Lefty started today. That was Martin Perez. He gave up 2 runs and 6. Worked out of some jams. Darvish tough yesterday. And his first start in the big league since August of 14.
And they packed this place last night to watch him.
Jaso strikes out.
Two outs in the 9th as he goes downstairs for that sinker. Running a little bit down, a little bit away. Up to Jordy Mercer to keep it going.
One out of 4 today with a double. Pirates trailing 6-2 here in the 9th. Pirates haven't lost back-to-back games since the 13th and 14th of May. That was at Wrigley Field.
Dyson has come in to throw nothing but strikes.
And he takes care of the Pirates in the ninth. The Rangers win the series 6-2, the final this afternoon.
Yeah, we had heard a lot about a struggling bullpen for the Texas Rangers, but Bush, Barnett, and Dyson hold the fort, and they capitalize on what you're talking about, that big home run by Mitch Moreland, another shot by Fielder, and they do take the series.
Final here today, 6-2 Texas. Time now for the post-game show. Let's go back to the studios with Dan and T.